Hello everyone, our lesson for today is all about the evolution of global marketing. So on this topic, our objectives are to provide an understanding of the factors which have led to the growth of internationalism and globalization, to produce a description of the major concepts and themes on which the subject of global marketing is based, and then to describe what is involved in planning for global marketing. Now, whether an organization markets its goods and services domestically or internationally, the definition of marketing still applies. However, the scope of marketing is broadened when the organization decides to sell across international boundaries. This being primarily due to the numerous other dimensions which the organization has to account for. For example, the organization's language of business may be English, but it may have to do business in the French language. So this not only requires a translation facility, but the French cultural conditions have to be accounted for as well. Doing business the French way may be different from doing it the English way. So this is particularly true when doing business with the Japanese. Now let us first define marketing and then see how by doing business marketing across multinational boundaries, differences were existing have to be accounted for. So according to S. Carter, marketing is defined as the process of building lasting relationships through planning, executing, and controlling the concepts or controlling the conception, and then pricing, promotion, and distribution of ideas, goods, and services to create mutual exchange that satisfy individual and organizational needs and objectives. Now, the long held tenets of marketing are customer value, competitive advantage, and focus. This means that organizations have to study the market, develop products or services that satisfy the customer needs and wants, develop the correct marketing mix or the price, place, product, and promotion, and satisfy its own objectives as well as giving customer satisfaction on a continuing basis. However, it became clear in the 1980s that this definition of marketing was too narrow. Preoccupation with the tactical workings of the marketing mix led to neglect of long-term product development. So, strategic marketing was born. The focus was shifted from knowing everything about the customer to knowing the customer in a context which includes the competition, government policy and regulations, and the broader economic, social, and political macro forces that shape the evolution of markets. In global marketing terms, this means forging alliances or relationships or developing networks, working closely with home country government officials and industry competitors to gain access to our target market. Also, the marketing objective has changed from one of satisfying organizational objectives to one of stakeholder benefits, including employees, society, government, and so on. Profit is still essential but not an end in itself. Now, strategic marketing, according to Wensley, has been defined as initiating, negotiating, and managing acceptable exchange relationships with key interest groups or constituents in the pursuit of sustainable competitive advantage within specific markets on the basis of long-term consumer channel, and other stakeholder franchise. Whether one takes the definition of marketing or strategic marketing, marketing must still be regarded as both a philosophy and a set of functional activities. As a philosophy embracing customer value or satisfaction, planning and organizing activities to meet individual and organizational objectives. Marketing must be internalized by all members of an organization because without satisfied customers, the organization will eventually die. As a set of operational activities, marketing embraces selling, advertising, transporting, market research, and product development, according to name but a few. It is important to note that marketing is not just a philosophy or one or some of the operational activities, and it is both. In planning for marketing, the organization has to basically decide what it is going to sell, to which target market, and with what marketing mix for the product, place, promotion, price, and people. Although these tenets of marketing planning must apply anywhere when marketing across national boundaries, the difference between domestic and international marketing lies almost entirely in the differences in national environments within which the global program is conducted and the differences in the organization and programs of a firm operating simultaneously in different national markets. Now let's go to the marketing process. So it is recognized that in a postmodern era of marketing, even the assumptions and long-standing tenets of marketing like the concepts of consumer needs, consumer sovereignty, target markets, and product and market processes are being challenged. So the emphasis is towards the emergence of the customizing consumers, that is, the customer who takes elements of the market or the market offerings and molds a customized consumption experience out of this. So even farther, modernism posts that the consumer who is the consumed, the ultimate marketable image, is also becoming liberated from the sole role of a consumer and is becoming a producer. This reveals it itself in the desire for the consumer to become part of the marketing process and to experience immersion into thematic settings rather than merely to encounter products. So, in consuming food products, for example, it becomes not just a case of satisfying hunger needs, but also can be rendered as an image producing act. In the postmodern marketplace, the product does not project images, it feels images. This is true in some foodstuffs. The consumption of designer water or slimming foods is a statement of a self-image, not just a product consuming act. Acceptance of postmodern marketing effects, discussions of product, pricing, advertising, distribution, and planning. However, given the fact that this topic is primarily written with developing economies in mind, where the environmental conditions, consumer sophistication, and systems are not such that allow a quantum leap to postmodernism, it is intended to mention the concept in passing. When organizations develop into global marketing organizations, they usually evolve into this from a relatively small export base. Some firms never get any farther than the exporting stage. Marketing overseas can therefore be anywhere on a continuum foreign to global. It is well to note at this stage that the words international, multinational, or global are now rather outdated descriptions. In fact, global has placed or replaced the other terms to all intents and purposes. Foreign marketing means marketing in an environment different from the home base, its basic form being exporting. Over time, this may evolve into an operating market rather than a foreign market. One such example is the preferential trade area in Eastern and Southern Africa, where involved countries can trade interregionally under certain common modalities. Another example is the Cold Storage Company of Zimbabwe. Now let's go to the global marketing. In global marketing, the modus operandi is very different. Organizations begin to develop and run operations in the targeted country or countries outside of the domestic one. In practice, organizations evolve, and there are 4 stages. The first stage is domestic in focus, with all activity concentrated in the home market. Second, home focus but with exports or ethnocentric. The third is stage 2 organizations, which realize that they must adapt their marketing mixes to overseas operations. And the fourth stage, global organizations, which create value by extending products and programs and focus on serving emerging global markets, or it is called as geocentric. There is no time limit on the evolution process. In some industries like horticulture, the process can be very quick. Now let's go to the stages of domestic to global evolution. So as what I've mentioned a while ago, there are 4 stages. So in terms of management emphasis, for example, on focus, your marketing, it's from, for example, the content of your advertisement or marketing is for the domestic population, and then it evolves to the international or the ethnocentric. Then when your business grows, you will create a marketing strategy that focuses on the multinational level, or it is called as polycentric. And then this is the fourth one. Fourth one is global, so it means geocentric. So as we have to go back, the geocentric is global organizations which create value by extending products and programs and focus on serving emerging global markets. So it is in you have a very wide market. So this is the evolution of domestic to global market. So in terms of marketing strategy, from domestic, it also evolved to international, then adoption, or you have to adapt with for example, the certain country. So you have to adapt how will you market your product in that country based on their culture. And then the last one is global, or you have to extension of the your marketing strategy from multinational to global. And then the structure from domestic, also the same, international, and international, then worldwide area, then adoption, creation, matrix, or mix. And then management style, domestic, then centralized top down, decentralized bottom up, and then integrated. So in centralized top down, it's from the marketing strategy is within the company, the head office, like that. And then from that top management down to the lower marketing department. So they will have to adopt the management style, and then the centralized bottom up, and then integrated. So, and then the manufacturing stance, mainly domestic, same as with the international, and then host country, then lowest cost worldwide. Then investment policy, domestic use worldwide, mainly in each country host, and then cross subsidization. Then performance value or performance evaluation. The domestic stage is for domestic market share against home country market share for international, and then for multinational its host country must or market share, and then for global it is worldwide. Now let's go to the factors which have led to the internationalization. There have been many underlying forces, concepts, and theories which have emerged as giving political explanation to the development of international trade. Remarkably, despite the trend to world interdependency, some countries have been less involved than others. The USA, for example, has a remarkably poor export record. About 2,000 US companies only account for more than 70% of US manufacturers' exports. This has been mainly due to its huge statewide domestic market, which is almost tantamount to international trade. For example, Californian fruit being sold 3,000 kilometers away in New Jersey. Japan has risen fast to dominate the export rankings, which countries of Africa struggling to make a significant mark, mainly because of their emphasis on exporting primary products. Now, this section will briefly examine the forces which have been instrumental in the development of world trade. Now let's go to the market forces and development. Over the last few decades, internationalism has grown because of a number of market factors which have been driving development forward over above those factors which have been attempting to restrain it. This include market and marketing related variables. Many global opportunities have arisen because of the clustering of market opportunities worldwide. Organizations have found that similar basic segments exist worldwide and therefore can be met with a global orientation. So cotton as an ingredient in shirtings, suitings, and curtains can be globally marketed as natural and fashionable. One can see in the streets of New York, London, Kuala Lumpur, or Harare. Youth with the same style and brand of basketball shirts or American football shorts. Now, Coca-Cola can be universally advertised as adds life or appeal to a basic instinct. You can't beat the feeling, or come alive as the case with Pepsi. One can question what feeling, but that is not the point. The more culturally unbounded the product is, the more a global clustering can take place, and the more a standardized approach can be made in the design of marketing programs. This standardized approach can be aided and abetted with technology. So technology has been one of the single most powerful driving forces to internationalism. Rarely is technology culturally bound. A new pesticide is available almost globally to any agricultural organization as long as it has the means to buy it. Computers in agriculture and other applications are used universally, with IBM and Macintosh becoming household names. The need to recoup large costs of research and development in new products may force organizations to look at global markets to recoup their investments. This is certainly true of many veterinary products. Global volumes allow continuing investment in R&D, thus helping firms to improve quality. Farm machinery, for example, requires volume to generate profits for the development of new products. Now, in marketing globally, communications and transport are shrinking the global marketplace. Value-added manufacturers like Cadbury, Nestle, Kellogg's, Bayer, Massey, Ferguson, and many others are under pressure from the marketplace and distributors alike to position their brands globally. In many cases, this may mean an adoption in advertising appeals or messages as well as packaging and instructions. So Nestle will not be in a hurry to repeat its disastrous experience of the infant formula saga, whereby it failed to realize that the ability to find boiled water for its preparations coupled with a literacy level to read the instructions properly were not universal phenomenon. So marketing globally also provides the marketing with 5 types of leverage or advantages. Those of experience, scale, resource utilization, and global strategy. A multi-product global giant like Nestle, with over 10 billion franc turnover annually, operates in so many markets, buys so much raw material from a variety of outgrowers of different sizes, that its international leverage is huge. If it consumes a third of the world's cocoa output annually, then it is in a position to dominate terms, and this also has its danger. Now, the greatest lift to producers of raw agricultural products has been the almost universal necessity to consume their produce. If one considers the whole range of materials from the raw to value or value-added state, there is hardly a market segment which cannot be tapped globally. Take, for example, oranges. Not only are Brazilian, Israeli, South African, and Spanish oranges in demand in their raw state worldwide, but their downstream developments are equally in demand. Orange juice concentrate segments and orange pigments are globally demanded. In addition, the ancillary products and services required to make the orange industry work find themselves equally in global demand. So insecticides, chemicals, machinery, transport services, financial institutions, warehousing, packaging, and a whole range of other production and marketing services are in demand, mainly provided by global organizations like Bayer, British Airways, and Barclays Banks. Of course, many raw materials are at the mercy of world prices, and so many developing countries find themselves at the mercy of supply and demand fluctuations. But this highlights one important global lesson: the need to study markets carefully. So, tobacco producing countries of the world are finding this out. With a growing trend away from tobacco products in the West, new markets or increasing volumes into consuming markets have to be prospected and developed. Many agricultural commodities take time to mature. An orange grove will mature after 5 years, but that time, another country may plant or have its trees mature. Unless these developments are picked up by the global intelligence, the plans for a big profit may be not realized as the extra volume supply depresses prices. This happened in 1993 and 1994 with the Malawian and Zimbabwean tobacco companies. The unexpected rise of Chinese tobacco depressed the tobacco price well below expectations, leaving farms with stock and large interest-carrying production loans. So that's the end of our topic for today. To summarize, the development of global marketing has been brought about by a number of variables, both exogenous and endogenous. The evolution of global marketing has been a series of 4 stages from exporting to truly global operations. These stages have been termed domestic, in focus, to ethnocentric, polycentric, and geocentric. When planning to do global marketing, a number of environmental factors have to be considered, but generally one is looking for unifying or differentiating influences which will dictate a standard or adopted planning approach. Finally, a number of concepts and techniques, including the international product life cycle, can give insight and a guide to global planning. So this ends our discussion.